Dearest gentle listeners, you are listening to the Ladies Bridgerton, the talk of the ton. We are your effervescent hosts, your neighbourhood-friendly Kiwi, Tash from Middle Earth, New Zealand.
And Patty, Regency romance enthusiast, currently writing her high-vibe, audacious era.
Settle down onto your favourite settee as we delve into the lives of the elite and illustrious ladies, lords, and royalty of the ton. This Bridgerton podcast is two friends talking romance, symbolism, Easter eggs, and diving into the connections of our favourite characters. We cover both book, TV series, and notable social media, and therefore will contain spoilers. And yes, that was Muppet.
And yes, it cut out a little bit, so I think it's going to come off like you were swearing and it silenced it. You can kind of hear it in the back. It just sounded like a growl to me on my side. But hey, Tangent Squad, it's our first halftime spectacular, and we've chosen to truly dive into our favorite reference fandom and discuss how the Bridgerton characters would play in the world of Harry Potter. We'll roll the dice to be fair, and it is an 8-sided die, and whatever number we land on will correlate to a sibling and their spouse. We will decide their house, their Harry Potter spouse, obviously other than their Bridgerton lead, their Patronus, Boggart, and favorite Hogwarts class. Come get nerdy with us as we play Fandom Alchemy.
Yes, so today's episode is partly in the fact that I have the trifecta going on this week of I really just needed one that I did not have to think through too much. I am sick. I start a new job tomorrow for the first time in years. And I'm also mid-painting my house, which is, we've been painting, I think we finished painting at 9:30 last night and then drove to my parents' house to sleep there because being sick and sanding and painting are not the best combo in the world. So I super ironically though, I've turned up today to record in my Harry Potter pajamas.
Yes, it was serendipity.
Yeah.
Serendipity.
Now we must make haste into Hogwarts Castle.
Yep, we are all standing on the platform at 9 3/4.
Everybody, but
who's running through the brick wall first, Tash?
Yeah. Well, I don't know who's running into who's running through it, but I've definitely run into the brick wall this week. All right, I'm gonna pull up my dice app.
Oh, and I'm just gonna, while you're getting the dice out, I'm gonna say this. Today we're recording on April 20th, and the lovely KK Chips and I went and watched the 20th anniversary Pride and Prejudice in theaters today, the 2005 Keira Knightley version. And I honestly can't remember if I saw it in the theaters 20 years ago. 20 years ago is kind of a blur to me. I remember like big things about my life then, like where I worked and where I was living and stuff like that. But I don't remember minute details, like if I actually saw this in the theater or not. I definitely know I saw it on video, and I definitely know I bought the video, like I bought the DVD or whatever. But we were both amazed at things we noticed because it was on such a large screen that we did not notice in all of our bazillion rewatches, which they did have a preamble kind of thing with Joe Wright, the director. Like, he's very glad that this has resonated for 20 years with fans. And so like it just amazed us, like what we noticed having it on the big screen compared to, you know, our hundreds of rewatches over the years in streaming and DVD and whatnot. So like there's so much that, I mean, I'm very glad we went to see it. It was our beloved movie. I actually saw a lot more. I think people have been coding characters neurodivergent for representation for a long time. I think the 2005 Pride and Prejudice version had several various types of neurodivergent characters in it.
I think we're just more aware of it from the 90s onwards. It started becoming a lot prevalent. Like I remember the chats about it when I was in primary school. One of my good friends, he had ADHD. My brother, teachers had always kind of encouraged parents to have my brother tested, but in the 90s it was still quite a shameful thing. So it was definitely acknowledged that he had it, but he wasn't ever formally diagnosed or medicated for it.
Well, and like I said, I went through several tests in second grade, cognitive testing and everything. And I tested at a gifted level, and they started a gifted and talent program at my, like, the GATE program started at my school based on testing on me, others. But I was not diagnosed ADHD at that time because girls were believed not to be able to get it. Thing that only afflicted boys. I didn't get diagnosed with that until years ago.
Well, even myself, I didn't really acknowledge that this for girls were wildly and dramatically different from boys. And even as a teacher, I was that the kind of thing that we're taught. Sadly, most of what we're taught, and like an entire worldwide problem, most of studies have been done for how things affect men, not women specifically. But
and I just noticed, like, in the 1995 version, which you have
Patty
the 1995
gets out the flog.
Yeah, like, there should be some punishment for that. The Mr. Collins in the 1995 version was so smarmy and like a snake oil, like, salesman kind of thing.
To be fair, I may
and
have
Mr.
actually
Collins,
watched it.
Mr. Collins, super autistic coded, very awkward person in 2005, and Darcy in 1995 does just come off more haughty and, you know, prideful and all of that, whereas 2005 comes off very autistic coded. Yeah. And ISTJ.
Yes.
Myers-Briggs, which I found out from YouTube.
Another episode that we are interested in doing in the future, if anyone knows of the Myers-Briggs. And even if you don't know of them, it's still going to be a fun episode because we will do not a deep dive, but a explanation as to where each of the characters kind of fit. But for today, we're going to jump into our first couple. Starting out strong with number 3. Brother number 3.
Okay, that is Colin
and Penelope.
Penelope. And you and I talking off, like, before we started, we both unanimously agreed he's a Gryffindor because he is White Knight syndrome at its finest.
Is the epitome of White Knight syndrome. I mean, I could definitely see an argument for Hufflepuff, but
because he's so loyal. Yeah.
I think what he values at the core is, like, protect others. I think he is very a
purpose, like he's a sense of purpose, like having a purpose in life. Driven. Yeah, that's very Gryffindor.
Yes.
Too.
Okay, so let's look up. If we look at bravery, courage, determination, and chivalry. That boy is determined. He has spent 3 seasons leading up to getting his girl. Action orientated.
And our king of consent is going to be the most chivalrous dude.
Oh my lord. They have a Myers-Briggs Harry Potter crossover. So for myself, who's an ENFJ Gryffindor, is passionate, idealistic, driven, playful, energetic, and single-minded, which is very, very much me.
Okay, so what is ENFJ Ravenclaw? Because that's me. Ravenclaws can't be ENFJ because they're not driven.
I don't think it's even like a I'm not finding
I'm unique.
There's ISF.
I'm an emotional smarty pants. That's all.
So for Ravenclaw,
I value cleverness.
The most common Ravenclaw personality types is ENTJ, ENTP, INTJ, INTP, and ISJ.
Oh yes, ISTJ is very Ravenclaw.
Yes. I know some dragons that would agree. Okay, so yeah, definitely Gryffindor. I think secondary house would be Hufflepuff, but to his core, he is very much a Gryffindor.
Okay, are we going to continue on with him, or are we going to say what Penn's house is?
I think we'll continue and we'll do them individually. Who would be Colin's spouse in the Harry Potter universe?
Harry Potter's spouse?
And this is quite hard because the ages...
For me, it's not. He's very protective, so I think his spouse would be Luna. He likes a quirky girl, and he's very protective, so he would want to protect her.
I see him as a Ginny.
I can see Ginny too. That was like who I thought of first, but like putting some thought into it. Like Ginny can fend for herself, and I think he would struggle. I mean,
Ginny
she is redheaded.
Learns to fend for herself by book 7, but in the very early days, she was very meek, very quiet, like very Penelope coded, especially book Penelope. They're very, very similar.
Very similar.
They were both in love with the male leads from the get-go, but it was siblings' best friend or whatnot.
Well, and that's true. Like, it's still a friends to lovers kind of thing because
yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm going Ginny. Okay, Patronus. Ooh, okay. For Colin.
And Patronus is like what brings you, it like protects you, but it's like a joy thing, like a happiness thing.
It is essentially,
because you're thinking of your most happy thought to create it.
Not just that, it's kind of what your spirit animal would be, essentially. So a Patronus is your a lot of people describe a Patronus
Colin's Patronus would be golden retriever. If it's going spirit animal, that's his spirit animal.
So it is your Patronus is a spell that so for anyone who is not a Potterhead like myself, a Patronus is a spell that is cast that becomes like a physical embodiment of your soul, and it takes the shape of an animal, and that animal protects you against dementors. It can also passages.
And they use it against dementors a lot because you really have to think of
you have to put your soul into it.
Kind of like Peter Pan. It's kind of like Peter Pan flying. You got to think a happy thought.
Yes,
but it has to be a happy thought that is like happiness to your core.
Yes.
To be able to produce
core memory happiness.
Yeah.
So for Harry, he originally tried to use flying, and it nearly worked, but it wasn't something that spoke to his soul. And then I can't even remember what the memory was. I think it was like the first time seeing Hogwarts or something, and it was the first time he ever felt at home. Okay, so Patronus for me. I mean, it would be something in the dog family.
I'm telling you, because in all the scenes in season 1, 2, and that's not a golden retriever, but every time Penn is around him when he's sitting there with Marina, and him and Marina are talking but not really talking, Penn is down on the floor playing with that dog.
Yeah.
I think Colin wanted to
maybe that's his Patronus, the dog from, what was it? Was it a Silky?
It was like a little I think it's some little like
no, not Bichon.
Something some little dog terrier.
It's a terrier of some
scruffy
sort.
Face.
Not that.
Anyway, he would be season 1 dog.
Season 1 dog. Yeah, okay.
And a mix of golden retriever.
Okay, Bogart. What would be his Bogart? His biggest fear. So a Bogart takes the physical formation of your biggest fear in life. So for Neville Longbottom, that took the image of Snape dressed in Neville's grandma's clothing, because Neville was equally afraid of his grandma and Snape.
Yes. And I think it would have been scarier to see his grandma dressed as Snape, though. But okay.
I mean, Portia think Portia's gonna take the cake here, but Portia in which iteration?
Well, I think his Boggart would actually be Penelope being
married to Devlin.
Well, no, I think being turned away by the Queen, because I don't think he ever truly was afraid of Devlin.
Because a Boggart has to be a physical image, not a scene happening. So if
Penelope being out, or not the Queen not happy with her, could have been a Penelope with no head.
Well, okay, that works. But
drawn and quartered Penelope, like, okay. They still did drawing and quartering then, didn't they?
Yeah, nearly headless Nick turns into nearly headless Penelope. She's not nearly headless. She's completely headless. She joins the headless hunt.
Well, and I think that would be it, because the Queen Charlotte in real history was a very cruel, like, to people that thwarted her or broke the law or whatever. Like, she was a big proponent of sending people to the Americas, very harsh, sending them to Australia. But she has, I think, the most kills, biggest body count.
Biggest body
count. Kills. I don't know. Don't quote me on that. I'm not a history teacher. But I think, like, in my reading of her for another episode we did, like, she is in the top for people sentenced to death.
Wow. Okay, I'll have to look that one up. Okay, what would you think that? I've got to do my Bogart still.
What would you think? What would his Boggart be?
A bee, the cutest little Bogart in all of history.
I think most Bridgerton siblings could say a bee.
Yeah.
Well, the boys anyway.
It's what
we don't know of any women that were allergic, but we do know of 2 men.
In the book, it was Eloise who watched her father die.
Yeah.
Yes. It would definitely be without a doubt Violet Bogart.
Well, and I think for most of the Bridgerton siblings, pre-finding their love of their life, most of them would be bee, because they didn't understand that it was an allergy that caused that. Like, they just think every bee is going to kill you.
Yes.
But I think post, like we know, I mean, well, and I won't say till we get there. I mean, I think we kind of know what Antony's boggart would be, because we watched it happen real time in the show. But like, I don't think Colin is truly as afraid of it. And not that we ever saw him get stung by a bee, but as adventurous as he is, I kind of feel like he probably has been stung by a bee already. And he's just like, oh, it doesn't affect, like, because he's been the one that's gone out in the world and he's the more rough and tumble
You know
kid.
what?
So
I actually think that his boggart would Antony in a way. Antony just being disapproving of every choice that he makes. I think he has like a really like he loves
well, and
his
he's
brother,
so
but
family
he's
coded. I think that his boggart would be like Penelope, especially after they're married. Penelope being sentenced to death, so headless Penelope, and him being outcast, and he has to leave England. So like he has to go to America, or well, not at that time America,
but a
more
boggart
Australia.
can't show all of this. You're getting too deep into it.
But I mean, his biggest fear would be Penelope dead and him separated from his family.
Yeah.
Or him in prison with, with headless Penelope, or them both headless.
Yeah. All right. Let's think about
them both headless, and Portia now takes over as the guardian of Little Lord Featherington. That's his biggest fear.
That's my biggest fear. Okay, what would you say would be his favorite class?
Wasn't there in the book somewhere like with the magical creatures, like they had a dragon?
Care of magical creatures.
I think so, because it's the most adventurous of the classes. He got, I mean, Harry got to fly, and they had which Weasley was it that was the dragon? Didn't he?
Bill?
Like, didn't they see a dragon? Like,
Bill. Bill is the Charlie. Sorry, is the dragons. Bill is the
Charlie.
Bill is the banker.
Ministry.
And Charlie is the dragon.
Yeah. So I think he would be the care of magical creatures just because of what could happen. It's adventurous.
Whereas I would have said flying class because it would give him the ability to up until the 5th or 6th year where you learn to apparate, but I think that's a class in itself. Maybe part of
apparition.
Yeah, but I think up until then it would have been flying and then apparition, because both of those would allow him to travel more freely.
True.
Okay, let's move over to Penelope. House is going to be a little bit more difficult because a Hogwarts house isn't necessarily who you are. It's actually like what you value most. Because if we see in book 1 and movie 1, which for the Americans is Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone, but for the rest of the world, we have Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone. He nearly gets placed into Slytherin. That was going to be the Sorting Hat's first choice, but he took consideration Harry and his wants and what he valued most, which was honor and to do the right thing and to stand up for others. Like his first act that he does when he goes to Hogwarts is to stand up to Draco Malfoy to protect Ronald Weasley, even though they just met. So that is why he got placed into Gryffindors, because he valued, that the most. So for Penelope, I think that she is definitely a Ravenclaw because she values above all else her intelligence, and she even, not that she was going to give up Colin for it, but she definitely stood up to Colin in order to maintain,
save it, and
because she was saying, yes, I love you, but I also love my mind just as much, and I'm not between you. So for me, she values her intelligence above all else. No notes.
I agree. No notes. I agree. She's Ravenclaw because I see a lot of Penelope and I'm...
Yes, Bouse is going to be an interesting one. Who have you picked?
You're acting like I thought this out. We're winging this.
I know.
Penelope's Harry Potter spouse.
Would you like me to go first? Because I already have.
Yes, you go first.
Let's pretend that they are the same age. Put that little caveat in. Lupin. Lupin is the closest iteration of Colin. Because when we think about Lupin, think about Lupin as
I have another angle, but yeah.
When we think about Lupin in his flashbacks, he was always kind of the level-headed one in the group. He was always like trying to do the right thing, which is why Dumbledore placed him as a head boy, because he needed someone to try to rein in Sirius and James. And I feel like Sirius and James are the Benedict and Antony of it all. Although I won't say that Peter is Gregory, because that's just mean. But he is the house pet, so rat pet, same.
Well, and I was as soon as you said, "Do you want me to go first?" Because I know, like, it popped into my head who I thought, and I would say Neville Longbottom.
I
Now, hear
was
me
going to
out.
choose him first.
Yeah, Neville Longbottom, because whereas Harry is the boy who lived and everybody thinks he is the chosen one and everything,
Yes.
Neville also fit
Neville was
the
supposed to be the chosen one. Well, equally.
Neville also fits the prophecy, and in the end he ends up being super courageous, and he slays Nagini. Yeah, he slays Nagini, and I mean, he turns out to be super badass, right? But he's not main character energy, and I think in Penelope's world, Colin is not main character energy in her eyes. In Bridgerton's, Anthony is main character energy. Yes. So I think if Harry was the Anthony character, the main character energy, then Neville would be the Colin. Like, he's kind of like,
I feel like Lupin is the Colin Lupin is the Neville of that generation.
Yeah. So I think that Neville is the I don't want to say throwaway, but he's like he starts out
the backup.
as the backup, or the the copycat version of the chosen one, but in the end he proves to be just as badass, and he actually slays a Horcrux, and he does a lot in the end. Like, I think Harry literally died and came back to life, like,
that literally the only reason. But so the prophecy actually originally fit both Harry and Neville equally, and the only reason that they chose Harry for the prophecy was because the connection of Snape. Snape is what caused him to go after Harry, because Snape was trying to get Voldemort to not kill Lily and James. Well, Lily, he didn't care if he killed James, but he was trying to get him to protect Lily specifically, and that's what caused the whole thing to go the way that was Snape. What would be Penelope's Patronus? I know mine. Oh. No.
Yeah.
Duck.
No, and the reason I say a horse is because the day she fell in love, he fell off a horse. So that is her happy place. Like, that is her most happy thing, is a horse.
I think when I think of Penelope and Colin, I think duck. So
true, or a swan.
Yes, but you know how it's always from the Friends reference, you are my lobster. It's you are my duck.
You are my duck. Yeah.
You are my duck.
And I said it that way.
I know.
For a reason.
I know. I'm aware.
But yes, I still say horse, because I think that whenever she thinks of Colin Bridgerton, she thinks of him tumbling off of a horse into the mud.
I can definitely see that. The only reason,
so it's a galloping horse that rears.
And did you know that your Patronus can actually change in your lifetime if you have like a great love or a great heartbreak? Like Snape's changed into a doe to represent Lily. Not Luna. Tonks is changed after falling in love with Lupin to be a wolf for that reason. Bogart. The only reason I chose a duck over a horse, because I did think of the horse originally, but a horse is a very strong,
I think Penn has a lot of joy in her, so I think she would be able to produce a strong Patronus.
I just thought ducks and feathers and quills kind of go more.
I think the duck would be the duck or swan. A swan Patronus, because swans are
ferocious
bastards. Yeah.
They look cute and pretty, but like they will destroy your soul. Like they are.
Yeah, they will.
They are. Okay, we'll change it to a swan then. I'm happy with swan.
We'll go swan. Yeah. Okay. We'll meet in the middle at swan.
Yeah.
The middle of a horse and a duck is swan.
We're just out here making ourselves some chimeras.
Right.
Okay, Bogart. What would she be most afraid of the world?
I would say Cressida dressed as her mother.
No notes. Perfection. Yep. I think Cressida, I don't think people truly get to the extent, because we don't see it so much in the TV series, but in the book, Cressida made Penelope's life an absolute living hell at any opportunity she got. She was truly a mean-spirited girl.
Yeah, there was no redemption arc. She was just mean.
Her redemption arc was her husband dying and becoming meaner.
Right.
She's like, I don't want to lean into my redemption arc. I'm leaning into my villain's era. She definitely Cruella de Vil'd it. Okay, what would be Penelope's favorite class? This is a hard one.
No, it's not. I don't think it is.
Okay.
And isn't it with McGonagall, it's transfiguration or whatever.
Transfiguration, yes.
I think for her it'd be transfiguration, because if she could transfigure into stuff, nobody would know she was present and she'd get all the gossip. Nobody knew that McGonagall was the cat, and they all said their stuff, and she's like, then she turned into herself, and they're like, crap. Like, that would be Penelope. She would just be chilling. Everybody be like, hey, when did they get a cat?
There's just so many ways, because like she also has just such a thirst for knowledge in general, not just of gossip. Like
Yeah.
I think
Or
gossip,
maybe she'd be like a Hermione and she would just love every class, because I could also see her digging Polyjuice Potion.
I can 100% see her begging Professor McGonagall for a time turner so that she can take every class possible. Not for, I think Hermione's was more because she wanted to have the top grades and everything, not because she had a thirst.
But she was a muggle.
Yes. But I think that
she had to prove herself because she was a muggle.
Yes. Whereas I think Penelope just has an absolute thirst for all information. Like we could see that. I mean, yes, she did read about the Northwest Passage for Deblings to be able to conversate with him, but I do actually think that she read a lot of non-romance, non-fantasy kind of genre. Not that I think fantasy was a big thing back then, but
I think her and Eloise both would want the time turner to be able to learn everything they could learn.
Yes.
Because they both loved just knowing things.
Yes. Yeah. So I think that she would be a huge lover of even like Muggle studies. I think definitely history of magic history of magic would be probably one of her favorites.
I was just thinking what plays into her business the most.
Yeah.
Polyjuice Potion. So potions would be a good one because she'd learn Polyjuice Potion. And then transfiguration, because both of those ways are extra ways that she could be invisible or be seen as something else so she can get gossip. Like if she like imagine if, Colin's going to go to Cressida to say something and she shows up as somebody Cressida trusts, or that, maybe goes in there as her dad and was like, I forbid you do this. You are not Whistledown.
Okay, we are one down. Which couple do you think we're going to get next?
I don't know. Roll that die.
You ready?
Mm-hmm.
We have Hyacinth and Garrett.
I've only read that book once, and that's been a while ago,
Same.
so that's going to be hard.
But I do recall his personality. Okay, so Hyacinth's Hogwarts house. She's kind of a mix between I think she's a Gryffindor.
I think Gryffindor first, Ravenclaw sub.
But I was like tossing up between Ravenclaw and Gryffindor because she's incredibly intelligent. She's very astute. She loves to solve herself a mystery. Like she drives herself crazy. But
she's all about the underdog. Like every time a sibling is after one person, she always brings up the person they're really in love with.
Yeah.
Because they're the underdog at the time.
Yeah.
So,
and like thinking back to like book Hyacinth, like people didn't date her because everyone was friends with her. Like everyone saw her as the best friend, even though she was, and no one wanted to marry her because she was so intelligent. They said like
intimidating.
No one wants a wife who's more intelligent than them, was basically what Gareth was told. And so...
Well, and I think that nobody wanted to marry Daphne because she was the best friend.
Yeah.
I always saw that nobody wanted to marry Hyacinth because she was
intelligent.
So
she knew everything. She knew everything.
Mm-hmm.
She knew everyone's business. So for those who have not read Hyacinth and Garrett's book yet, the entire plot line is surrounded by the fact that Gareth is trying to find his mum's inheritance. He left his mum left letters and his grandma, and they're trying to uncover this huge mystery, and they had to break into his ancestral home multiple times. He's estranged from his father, and he's got to break into his ancestral home multiple times, trying to find where this hidden treasure is. And literally, even in the epilogues of their book, she is still trying to find this treasure. Spoiler alert, she does, but it takes her literally like 20.
Yeah, it takes a long time. But I mean, and that just shows how tenacious she is as well,
yes.
Which I think is a Gryffindor trait.
Yes.
It ekes out Gryffindor a little more than Ravenclaw, because when she sinks her teeth into something, she does not let go.
Mm-hmm. Like if I was to place family into houses as a whole, I would say that the Bridgertons are Gryffindor, the Featheringtons...
They're kind of like the Weasleys.
The Featheringtons are definitely Slytherin, the Cowpers are Slytherin.
Well, except Penelope's Ravenclaw, so...
Yeah, but as a whole...
she'd be the anomaly.
As a whole, yeah. Okay, so we've got... house spouse for Gregory, for Hyacinth. She likes someone a little bit daring, someone who I actually see. I was gonna say,
and we're going. Everybody's the same age, right?
Yeah, we're because obviously we see them at a younger age and older age, so pick which iteration we want.
I kind of think Hyacinth's spouse would be
I think
like
actually
young Sirius.
I actually think it would be Harry. Think about the similarities between Gareth and Harry. Both have like a lot of childhood trauma.
True.
Both felt rejected by their families in different ways. Obviously, for Harry, it was by his father.
Well, the same was Sirius. Sirius was
Yes.
was the black sheep. I mean, literally, of his last name's Black, but
Yes.
he's the black sheep of the Black family.
Yes.
Like I think that plays in. Like he also has a lot of his values do not align with his family, and there's a falling out. And
Gareth also
I
tries
think
to go and do things on his own and tries to protect Hyacinth, and like really does not want her involved, but then eventually takes her involvement because he knows that she's incredibly intelligent, just like Harry with Hermione. Although obviously this doesn't eventuate into
They're
anything.
friends, yeah.
But very, very similar kind of storylines between them.
Yeah.
But I can see Sirius fitting as well, young Sirius. But I think young Sirius is a little bit more.
I think he's a little reckless, but I think
a little reckless trauma.
But I think that Hyacinth herself, like Gareth, had this recklessness about him.
He did. Yeah. And he had he had a very rakish kind of vibe. Well, people thought that he was a rake in the ton, but really it was just he wasn't interested.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I also think he was a little reckless because of like the way he communicated with his father and things like that. Like he didn't help his cause.
He did.
And
not.
Hyacinth kind of helped him elevate from that. And I think she would have done the same with young Sirius.
Yeah. I can definitely see both.
Sirius might not have ended up in Azkaban had Hyacinth actually made it into Harry Potter world.
Yes. Okay, let's go Patronus.
Hyacinth would have been like, no, there is a better way to do this.
Patronus. It's got to be highly like an animal that's highly intelligent, a little bit sneaky.
Yeah, I think hers would be like dolphin.
Mine's a dolphin.
Like I think hers would be because it's very intelligent and they're very cheeky and they're very protective of other things in the water. Like they've protected humans from sharks.
Yes.
There are known stories of that.
They just like to abuse sharks, to be honest. I don't think she's quite that.
Well, playful. And not even that too, but there's the dolphins over in the English Channel and the Mediterranean that were going after yachts because that one. Yes. Or no, wait.
Yeah. No, that was
that dolphins or was that? That was whales.
No.
Orcas.
It was no. An orca is a dolphin, not a whale.
True.
Mm-hmm. They're called killer whales, but they're actually dolphins because one of the babies got killed, and so they started killing off in response.
And for generations, it went through 2 or 3 generations. They taught their children to do the same thing.
They do not forget.
That is holding a grudge, and I think that would also be Hyacinth.
They must be Greek. I actually am gonna go with like a red squirrel, like a red-tailed squirrel, because they are cheeky, they are very calculating, they are very highly intelligent, but people don't suspect them because they're cute.
I see that.
They're able to get into hard to get to places, like her getting through the windows
being like because
she was small enough. I went fox originally, and then I thought, I actually really like the squirrel for her. She squirrels away her information, her little nuts of information.
Well, and foxes are known, especially in England, like they're hunted. So I don't see Hyacinth as actively choosing something that like she would want to be a little bit more discreet.
Funny. Yeah.
You can't catch me. Her Patronus is the gingerbread man.
Can't touch this. Can't
catch me. I'm the gingerbread man. Patronus is MC Hammer.
What would be her Bogart? Never finding the money. Her Bogart is this pile of money, or she doesn't know what the treasure is. She just knows there is a treasure. But her Bogart is never finding the pot of gold at the end of the rainbow. Her Bogart's just a rainbow with money that she can never catch.
I think her Bogart would be like kind of like the scene at the end of Scooby-Doo where they say this person is not this person, they're actually this person, right?
Yes.
But when she clearly announces the bad guy is actually and pulls the mask off, she's completely wrong.
Yeah.
That's her Bogart. That's her biggest fear, is to be wrong.
Yes. Yeah, I can see that one.
So she like opens the treasure and nothing's there. Or, she pulls the mask off of somebody that everybody thinks is a bad guy, but she believes it's someone else and she's just completely wrong. No mask comes off. She's just yanking on their hair.
What would be her favorite class?
Honestly, I think her favorite class would be kind of like, I don't think it would be the exact thing of where Harry worked with Snape specifically for
Well,
you know,
I
a
I was
defense
gonna say
against like the mind control
I
thing.
was gonna say defense against the dark arts in general because I think that
Right.
occlumency falls of that guy.
But I think her favorite class would be something that she had individual attention from the teacher, and like how Harry was being taught by Snape to block mental control, right?
Yes,
So I don't necessarily think it would be, I can't even say it,
occlumency.
occlumency. Yeah, occlumency. But, maybe defense against the dark arts.
Oh,
Um,
actually, so you think that she would be practicing legitimacy so that she can read people's thoughts? I could see that for
yeah, but
sure.
it's more of instead of it being a class like with other students, it would be more like an apprenticeship. Like, I
Yes.
think that if she was working one-on-one with the teacher, she would love that way more than having a whole class, because she would
Yeah.
feel like if I'm in a class, they're going to hold me back. Like,
Yes.
she wants it to be just herself.
It'd be tutoring. Yeah. Okay. I can
Yeah.
see that for sure. Yeah. I think legitimate. Well, because I said defense against. Well, I was going to say defense against the dark arts, but for those kinds of reasons as well. Is I think she would want to know how to protect herself, and she would be the first one in there, like doing the thing. She'd be like volunteering to verse other people. She'd be putting what was her Patty? No,
She'd be leading the Dumbledore army class
she
where they
would
were
be.
training.
Like if she were a Harry Potter character, she would be Ginny.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Ginny from the later books, not early Ginny.
Yes. Yes. I mean, she had to grow into it. She was young in the
Yeah.
early book. She was like she was 10 in the first book. Okay, let's move on to Gareth. So he's obviously a lesser character and is one of the very last that we do get to meet, so we don't get as much of him. But I think I know enough to kind of place him.
See, I'm thinking Hufflepuff because he's very into family and he allows Hyacinth to lead and he's willing to follow. Hufflepuffs are very much like the army. Like, they're not the office, not saying that they're followers necessarily, but they are good soldiers for a good leader and they're very loyal.
Okay, so let's read
I
out
don't think he's Slytherin.
Well, you know what? Slytherin gets a really, really bad rap, but
Bad rap. Yeah.
that was the way that they were written by.
But most Slytherins do that, like the ends justify the means business.
Yes.
And I think Hyacinth is more like that than Gareth is in the book.
Okay, so let's read through. We should have done this at the start. The different personalities of different houses. So a Gryffindor.
We started with the softball of Colin and Ped, and that is so why we did not read through it, because we're like, oh, this is easy.
Yes. Okay, so Gryffindors are experience orientated, honest, practical, blunt, passionate, playful, funny, prone to living in the moment and not taking themselves too seriously, trusting, idealistic, stubborn, and loath to back down, prone to procrastination, wary of manipulation and liars. They are not necessarily irresponsible. Gryffindors display a strong tendency to own their mistakes. So remember, Gryffindors tend to have a strong moral center and are unafraid to act on their morals or to seize an opportunity to make change. To me, that's why I was kind of leaning towards Gareth being a Gryffindor. Ravenclaws are analytical, intelligent, logical yet impractical, absent-minded professor types, curious, inquisitive, creative, witty, wise, observers more than participants. He puts a lot. Interested in understanding things, resigned cynics. Sorry, the font is very blurred out on as I've zoomed right in. Independent, self-containing, fond of learning for the sake of learning. They are not necessarily unemotional. Consider Cho Chang. Wordy. Consider rambling verse concise language. Good at school. Ravenclaws are good at what they are interested in, but need not have that interest. And remember, just because an applicant is smart does not mean they are a Ravenclaw. Consider Snape, Hermione, Lily, and Percy. Moving on to Slytherins. They are ambitious, driven, focused on goals, determined, prepared, subtle, perfectionistic, adaptable, realistic, big on cost versus benefit analysis, self-reliant, charming, bold, assertive, ruthless, and able to separate their ideas of themselves from what they do, able to use their intelligence as a tool to achieve their goals. They are not necessarily disloyal, however, their loyalty is highly selective or regarding of the opinions of others. In fact, Slytherins love positive attention and thrive on praise. Remember that Slytherins are not gratuitously mean. In fact, they treat people with respect because they care about the impression they give. Very much, and this is why I'm saying that not all Slytherins are bad. Lady Danbury is 1000% a
She's a
Slytherin.
Slytherin. Yeah.
And
And
then
I would even say Penelope could fit into
yeah,
Slytherin.
very much so. Hufflepuffs, where they are just and loyal. They are hardworking, determined, tenacious, loyal, honest, genuine, well-rounded, fair and just, open-minded, giving, good-hearted, accepting, compassionate, passionate, practical, patient, and dependable. They are not necessarily unemotional, though they have a tendency to not flaunt their emotion. A Hufflepuff's loyalty is not free. It is selective and based on fairness, but will likely be prominent throughout the application. I actually think that Gareth is a Slytherin. I think that it's just the way that J.K. Rowling has kind of aimed that Slytherins can only be bad people, where Lady Danbury is not bad at all. She goes after what she wants, what she believes in. She does what she thinks is right and fair. She goes around, skirts around the rules sometimes, but only if like not ever to hurt anyone else. Yeah, only when it's necessary. So the fact that he's very ambitious, he's very focused on goals, like he is very focused on finding out his mum's history and finding out about himself. He's very self-reliant. He does not want to rely on Hyacinth at all. The only reason that he goes to Hyacinth is because she is able to read and decode, was it Italian?
Italian, yeah.
It was Italian, yeah. That's the only reason why he goes to her, is because he trusts her enough and he needs to be able to decode what the writing is saying. And that's the only reason why. And then she gets invested.
And she just barreled in and took over.
She very much did. And, you know, he's not disloyal. He's just incredibly loyal to only those who his dad would say is loyal, but he's not. It's just his loyalty lies.
He's selective.
His loyalty lies with Lady Danbury.
And that's why I was thinking Penelope could be Slytherin, because she's
very
loyal, but she's very choosy about who she's loyal to.
Yeah, I can definitely see that. So I'm gonna vote Slytherin for Gareth, actually.
I'm good with that. The Sorting Hat.
Spouse, it has to be Ginny. Has to be.
Man, we're giving Ginny to everybody.
I mean, like Ginny.
I'm gonna say old school, like Lily.
Yes, okay.
Young Lily.
Yeah.
Young Lily is very Hyacinth coded.
Yes, actually, I 100% agree with that, and likes to tame herself a bit of a bad boy.
Correct.
And because like
whether he truly is bad or everyone he gives off that impression.
I mean, James was a bit of a fuck, to be real. A little bit entitled.
Yeah. But I think he got a lot of his reputation was being around Sirius and Lupin and just kind of that, you know, that whole unserious crowd, and they kind of got their rep from.
What was saying? Yes, Garrett. Anything? Like, it was like, you know, yes, Garrett. Anything you say, Garrett.
Yes, Gareth, anything.
Oh, I can't remember the line, but it was phenomenal. A little overused, if I'm being honest, in the writing, but like phenomenal nonetheless.
Well, I think because it was sarcasm and it's very Hyacinth, and I think that it will play with the Hyacinth they've created in the show.
Yes.
Very well. Like, because look at, like, she wants to be in society so bad right now. And we see the look on her face in that promo thing for season 4. Like, I think she's going to get a big eye opening, like, oh my gosh, is this really what it is? These women are vapid. And then, so by the time it really is her time, right? Her season, I think she will just be thumbing her nose at society and just making fun of it at every turn. And that's going to play out in, yes, Gareth, anything you say, Gareth.
Yeah.
Gareth's Patronus. I don't think I remember enough about his story to pick out an animal.
Patronus.
Unless, I mean, if we go mystical creatures, and his Patronus is a dragon because his mother had a treasure somewhere, and what protects a treasure but a dragon?
He's seeking treasure. His protective. Let's go dragon. I vibe with that. What would be
his Patronus is a dragon.
His boggart would be his father. Just his father. His dad tried to sell him off. He tried to sell him off as if he was a female to the next door neighbor. And the next door neighbor's child was meant to marry the oldest son, who died, I believe.
Yes, his oldest brother died.
And then he was meant to marry her off. Marry the next door neighbor, but she was mentally deficit.
Yeah,
I
she
think
was developmentally disabled.
I think in the book they call it like mentally deficit or something, some term like
Yeah.
that. Thankfully,
Like she's simple.
it wasn't that she had the mind of a child, and he was like, it would basically be like being with the child,
Well,
and
and back
he
then
flat
that's
out
what
refused.
they called simple minded because she
Yes,
was, yeah, back then they called that person simple
and that
because
was what
they were
that's what the
they
father
weren't
and sorry,
yeah, they weren't capable of complex thought
yes,
because they had the mind of a child. But
yeah,
yeah, like she couldn't problem solve. She could not make the for herself,
no.
truthfully.
And
Yeah.
he essentially was saying that it to be with her and to create an heir, because it's like, you just need to create an heir, so that he'll pay me out. And basically it was just a big business transaction because Gareth's father massively mishandled money and was in incredible amounts
She
of
couldn't
debt.
consent. She couldn't
She could
consent
not.
to the
And he was
act that
saying
would create an
it
heir.
would be non-consensual, and he wasn't willing to
Yeah.
do that. And so that is why he
Mm-hmm.
fell out of the grace of his father. So someone that's protective, and yeah, that's why I think the dragon does work. He was protective as well. He was
Yeah.
honorable. Bogart, yeah, it would have to be his
Father.
dad. Yeah, I don't think anything's father's ghost. Favorite class. Okay, out of the classes we have astronomy, charm, defense against the dark arts, herbology, history of magic, potions, transfiguration, flying for first years only, ancient ruins, arithmancy, care of magical creatures, divination, muggle studies, ancient studies, art, muggle art, earth magic, music, muggle music, and ghoul studies. I'm going to go with ghoul studies because he wants to know his mother's secrets and his family history.
Well, and I was thinking the history one too because he's into his family's lineage.
I think we have just enough time to probably squeeze with, and so I think we squeeze one more in. Okay, let's go. We have landed. Oh no, we can't do it on number 8. Stop landing on 8. Number 4, which is Simon and Daphne. This is gonna be a big one. Okay, should we start with the male first this time? Simon, how's I'm leaning Slytherin again.
I'm leaning Slytherin because he has goals, and those goals are
He's very
F
goal oriented.
over my father.
Yeah, he's very goal orientated. He's very individualist, very ambitious and driven for those goals. He's determined, he's prepared, he's a perfectionist, and that is why he has the issues that he has. His dad also had perfectionism, and if he wasn't perfect, then he wasn't good enough. He's always striving for perfection. Yeah, big on cost benefit analysis. He weighed up marrying Daphne versus his own goals. Not come out very self-reliant, very charming, very bold and assertive, incredibly ruthless. He was willing to cut down Daphne for his own, to serve his own goal. Able to separate their idea of themselves from what they do. Very much him. He was able to take himself out of the scenario. So yeah, I don't think Slytherin through and through. And this is what we're saying. Slytherin does not mean you're a bad person. It just means that you're very focused on what you're focused on. Very, very goal driven. Very like very much career people. I would say more.
I agree.
Okay, Baux. I have an interesting one for this. Young McGonagall.
McGonagall
before she was sort of as jaded as she is. I mean, I still love old McGonagall. I absolutely stand her, but she became the toughness that she was because she fell in love with a muggle. He died. But I think
I can see that, but I also think that, to kind of keep up appearances, I almost like possibly
Fleur is a little bit like Daphne, where very, very appearance driven. I was kind of saving her for Anthony, but I mean, if I can give Ginny to everyone. Yeah, she's very appearance driven, but we actually see after she marries Bill that she actually has a very good heart. Charlie, I should have read this. Bill. It is Bill.
Oh,
I was
not
thinking.
the dragon guy.
I was thinking Scratches, but no, it was from Wolf. Fenring. Who scarred him up. Fenring is quite interesting. I've been listening to the June audiobook with Stephen, and they also they actually have a few names that cross over between Harry Potter and June. Greyback. Yeah. Okay. So we've done spouse. What would be Simon's Patronus? I would say it'd be something strong, very masculine.
Well, and I kind of see his Patronus Patronus as being like a peacock, because the male peacock is actually the beautiful.
Yes, the very showy.
You would not expect that, right? Most of the time the female is the beauty and the human.
But he
And
doesn't
he
really
just,
want
for
to be
me,
seen.
he doesn't want to be seen, but he know, like, being seen for him is used to get to a goal. He wants to be seen with Daphne, so the mamas leave him alone. So he's using being seen, much like a peacock wants to be seen when it's mating. Like, there's a means to an end. He's using it for his goals and his own purposes rather than being showy all the time, right?
So I was just looking up uncommon Patronus, and it's got a Tyrannosaurus Rex. Sorry, I see him as alone. He's intelligent, smart, but he very much wants to do it on his own, even though they are very much typically meant to be a pack animal, but he's trying to do it on his own.
And I was just trying to think of like an animal that appears one way, but it's something else. Like, kind of like in Jurassic Park, those cute dinosaurs, and then their side fin things come out, and they spit at you and you die.
Yeah.
Like, his Patronus would be the fuzzy cute gizmo gremlin that then turns you think you're getting one thing.
I'm gonna change it up. I'm gonna go Phoenix, because he absolutely has a rebirth multiple times. First, after he meets Lady Danbury, he has a rebirth in finding love for the first time, maternal love, and then he has another rebirth after marrying Daphne.
His father dies.
And then I think he has another one in finding the love of parenthood, and I think the different loves that he goes through is a rebirth for him each time, so I'm going to go Phoenix.
I can see that, yes.
Bogart, dad disapproving, yelling at him, screaming that he's enough. Why is it always the dads, the Bogarts?
Because Bridgerton is all about father.
Actually, you know what? I'm going to say, prior to the end of season 1, prior to Daphne, his Bogart would have been a baby. His Bogart would have been a baby that looked like his father.
Yeah. That resembled. Yeah. Like, he was continuing his father's line. So he would be holding a baby that looked like his father.
With his, wife dead on the bed, just repeating history. That would be absolutely his Bogart. Okay, what would be Simon's favorite class? Nottish.
And honestly, for him too, because chameleon would have been a good Patronus. I think that because he is a chameleon and he plays to his strengths when needed, again, something like charms or transfiguration.
I think charms, things that are going to get him by, and like anything that's going to keep him away from people about. Okay, Daphne, house. I leaning, but she's not. It's not necessarily
not super. I mean, she has a different kind of intelligence.
Yeah, I mean, she could even go Slytherin as well, to be honest. Like, she's very goal driven. She's willing to do whatever it takes. She uses others to get to her goal. She uses the prince to get to her goal. She's highly intelligent. She is very selective about who she doesn't has
compromise anyone in her family to get to.
No, like, but that's what I'm saying. She
compromised Cressida.
But that's what I'm saying. She's very selective about who she's loyal to.
Yeah. But like, that's one of the reasons Danbury and Penelope really could fit in Slytherin, is because at a specific moment, they can be ruthless to a friend in service of a friend, or, to a family member in service of a friend. That, like, I think that plays in Slytherin.
I
think in terms of loyalty and everything, I think she could. I see her like a Gryffindor Hufflepuff thing. She's kind of a by the book. I don't really see her breaking this to get what she uses to her advantage. She learns the rule book so that she can use,
which to me screams Slytherin.
Everybody can't, Tosh.
No, just 2 people.
We got to make this interesting.
Well, you know what? Everyone's usually a Gryffindor, so
True.
We got
to put somebody in Hufflepuff.
Yeah, we've definitely got Hufflepuff.
Although I think Benedict is a Hufflepuff.
Yes, there is definitely a lot of Hufflepuffs coming. Gareth, where did I put him? I put him Slytherin too, didn't I?
Slytherin. You said he's Slytherin. Yeah. And technically Danbury's not on our list at this time, so she doesn't count.
And Hyacinth, I said Griff. I'm sure I said
For her
Gryffindor.
specific, Gryffindor, Ravenclaw sub.
Yes, yeah. Okay, five. Cool. Okay, so house, and then we've got spouse for Daphne.
I think her spouse would be kind of leaning Percy because he's such a high achiever and he kind of wants to toe the line. And he's a little misguided, kind of like Simon. Like Simon knows what his outcome is because his outcome is to his dad, and he wants to be a cycle breaker, but he's only thinking of being a cycle breaker in one specific way. And Daphne kind of shows him like could be a cycle breaker by being a different kind of dad, not being no dad at all, right? So I think that she would, Percy would be a good spouse, or she would be a good spouse to Percy because he is misguided and he becomes even more misguided.
So for nearly the exact same reason, but a completely different character who I think fit her a lot better, especially for the fact of her marrying someone a little bit misguided, but helps bring out the more gentle side of them. I'm not sure if you ever read Cursed Child, but you would see it fits a lot better into that storyline. It's Draco Malfoy.
Yeah, I can see that.
Draco Malfoy
and I just
is
found
an
out
amazing
Cursed
father.
Child. I've read Cursed Child and I haven't seen it yet. It's coming to Columbus though.
I mean, I think if I saw the play, I would enjoy it more. But I think
as a theater nerdy girl, I kind of want to go see it.
I know it's just what they did to Harry. I just can't forgive.
I don't like what they did to Harry.
I can't marry the idea of Harry being an abusive father, and realistically, he wasn't. Whereas Draco, what a wild flip into the story where Draco is the supportive, loving father. I'll love you no matter what. You can choose whatever you want in life. You can choose whoever you want in life. Like. You do you, and I'll just support you over here, and I'll be your biggest fan. Like,
well, I think they played Harry off like I peaked in high school. Kind of character, right? Like Harry peaked in high school, but Draco got to be he overcame,
and because keep in mind
high school
Percy is also would mean that Daphne was marrying down substantially. Like that is worse than a country bumpkin in the world or the ton. Whereas Draco's family were the equivalent of a.
I get that, but I just view it as like out of everyone, kind of like how Simon is the anomaly between him and his father of the men in his family.
Yes.
Like Percy is the anomaly because he so wants to climb out of being a Weasley.
Well, he looked up to his father originally until he realized that his father had that he could not afford 8 mouths to feed it outside of what I meant to say. And he kind of resented his father for that in the long run.
Yeah.
Whereas I think that Draco also looked up to his father and followed in his footsteps until he hit an age where he started realizing that what he was doing was wrong, and especially after the war and in Cursed Child, where he realized all the prejudice that his dad held and how much hate that put into the world, and decided he wasn't going to be part of that. And he ended up marrying a muggle-born, or just a muggle. And he loved her until she died, and he gave up all of his prejudice for her.
Yeah, no, I can see that.
Yeah.
And I wasn't even thinking, I was thinking, the canon books. I wasn't even Cursed Child, but that does fit.
Yes.
All right. The Draco Malfoy of the future.
Yes. Patronus got to be something showy. Like I could see if the female peacock working, because like she is very much that white full, the white feathers, the perfection, the rare gem, a white
I kind of
peacock.
see it like her Patronus is like a Mylone. Like, or one of those, they talk about the painted pony or the braiding the pony's hair to Anthony for the wedding. Like, do we need to help you braid the horse's manes or whatever? Yeah. Like something very done
showy,
up.
Flashy, done up, which is why I thought the white peacock.
Pretty.
Because they're very show-stopping, very like elegant. Look at me, I'm the showstopper, but with little pea brains.
Well, and we also got to look at like truly what makes her happy though, children.
Yes.
So, I mean, maybe she's like the really pretty, Wester Kennel Club show dog, best in show, fancy dog. She then, gets bred with the other fancy one. Yeah, she would be a little poodle. She would be a poodle. Yeah. Yes. Poodle with a nice little bow. Fancy grooming.
Yeah. Okay. Bogart, Daff, a dead baby, like finally getting her dream of having a baby, and I think that would be her biggest, and especially after listening to what her mum. Actually, no, I'm gonna reserve that one for Eloise. Eloise is biggest for his
No,
motherhood.
I think hers is definitely not being able to be a mother. I think her boggart would be watching Eloise have a baby when she has no children.
Yeah.
Because Eloise is the next female in line and she would feel skipped over.
Yeah.
I went through that. Like when my sister had a baby before I did, I know what that feels like. And I think that would be Daphne's biggest fear, is to watch all of her younger sisters have children when she couldn't.
A favorite class, I think almost Transfiguration.
Becoming whatever needed at hand.
Yeah, because we do see her kind of transform from being daughter to Lady of the Ton to debutante to wife, mother.
Oh yeah, the night she goes and she's like, I'm going to get the prince. Like that whole transformation.
Yeah.
Like she became princess vibes that night.
Yeah.
For sure. She walked in like a princess.
I'm a princess. All right, actually, we're gonna do one more. We're gonna have to squeeze in one more so that we've got half done, half another day. Okay. All right, Dice, what do you got for me?
Dice.
Number 5 is Sir Philip and Eloise. Okay.
Ravenclaw. Eloise is Ravenclaw.
No notes. Doesn't even need notes. There is no other house for her other than Laura.
Yeah.
I mean, secondary house would be Slytherin, but she is so
her
Ravenclaw.
and Penelope are house prefects. Let's be real.
Yeah, they are. Yeah.
They run that show.
They do. Spouse for Ella. I think she's a serious. I think she would like the wild side of it. I think she would.
I think I can see that.
But like doesn't apply himself. I think she would suit him.
Well, I mean, he's a little because but
in saying that
the herbology teacher is the lady.
She needs someone to ground her a little bit. Professor Sprout. Her
see, I think Philip is Professor Sprout. So I think that'd be, I mean, if we're making everybody, like, they're all the same age, they can be spouses. I think it would be Professor Sprout because he only talks plants and all day plants.
We'll just gender bend. Okay, Professor Sprout. Let's go for it. Patronus.
Hey, it's Bridgerton.
Or Eloise. I'm gonna go owl.
I can see that. She would be an owl.
Kind of owl. I don't think she'd be a snowy white owl. She's too flashy.
No, she would be the owl from Winnie the Pooh.
Yes.
The super wise owl.
He's a 20 owl?
Yeah, the owl that everybody goes to for advice.
I believe he's a 20 owl.
And because she's a little bit saucy, it could be the owl from the Tootsie Pop commercial. How many licks does it take? How many licks does it take, Sir Philip?
You're gonna have to, well, you're gonna have to send that to me. Bogart for Eloise.
Dying in childbirth.
Yeah.
Watching her kids grow up without a mother. Yeah. Seeing her husband, seeing Sir Philip with kids that he's raising on his own because
I think her Bogart would be her in a bed, like pregnant, dying. Hey, favorite class for Eloise. This one's
dude, she's time turnering it with Penelope. She wants to learn all the things.
What do you think her favorite would be?
Or prophesying like with Professor Trelawney. Like I think if she could know the future.
No. I think she would absolutely be Hermione, and I think she would mock the living. Sorry, I think she'd mock. I think she would deeply.
I think she would mock Trelawney, but understanding
she's divination. She's too much of a skeptic, I reckon.
Yeah, but she wants to know the future so bad.
I think Penelope...
She wants to be able to know it to control it.
Penelope is way more introspective and a little bit more willing to, like, understand different things. I think... I mean, this may change after her book, but as it stands, I don't think she would enjoy astronomy at all. I think she'd say it's a hoax, idiot. I think she would enjoy charms. I think she
astronomy is the study of the stars.
I think she would love
divination.
Divination. Sorry, me.
Yeah, but I think like with Professor Trelawney teaching it, yes. But if there was somebody a little bit more logical that could show her, like, hey, you can know a little bit about the future and be able to control the outcome. Eloise would be all about that.
I think she would be heavily into the Defense Against the Dark Arts. I think she would be alongside running the DA.
Yeah.
I think herbology she would tolerate but not love. History of magic
she would tolerate just to be in there with Sprout.
Yeah, I think she would really enjoy history of magic because she would want to know everything there was about everything that she needs to know. She would be the Hermione who read every single book before even arriving at school. All the answers. I think we should have done who would have been their character, but we'll do it in the next one. Okay. Okay, and then we are finishing off with Sir Philip. House.
I think he could be Hufflepuff. I keep wanting somebody to be Hufflepuff.
I mean, I want to say Ravenclaw, but I think that he's a puff at heart.
He's a puff at heart. Like, he's not super ambitious. Yes, he loves his plants and he loves, teaching about them and showing people what his special interested. But I don't see him being ambitious in any way where he's like trying to make hybrids or like trying to change the world with it. And I don't see him being very bold and courageous either.
Determined, tenacious, loyal, honest, genuine, well-rounded, fair and just, open-minded, giving, good-hearted, accepting, compassionate, passionate. So he's definitely got passion down.
He's got passion down pat.
Definitely practical.
Yeah. I see him as a puff.
He learns it and dependable. Very dependable.
Well, and I think he is pretty patient with Eloise. He gets annoyed by her, but he always holds patience for her. He struggles with patience for his children, but that also stems from trauma. Yeah. He learns that with her because he has a patience with her from the beginning. I think.
It says they are not necessarily unemotional, though they have a flaw. That describes Sir Philip to a T. Like, he has so much trauma that he is hiding for a really long time in regards to Marina, in regards to Dad, and the beatings that he received.
And he's afraid his emotions, he'll lose control of his emotions, so he doesn't show them a lot. Yeah.
Okay, who would be his spouse? Female Neville.
Hermione.
Oh, you know what we didn't even think about? Neville becomes the herbology professor.
True. old Neville. Because we gave Neville Longbottom to Penelope.
Yeah.
Young Neville is Penelope. But I mean, her and Eloise are better, I kind of do think Penn would marry young Neville Longbottom and Eloise would marry old Neville. Cursed child Neville Longbottom.
Eloise Longbottom.
They would be sister wives, not just sisters.
Okay, spouse to Sir Philip.
Hermione.
Yeah.
Super smart, studious, prepared, a little annoying because she's so smart, and she never stops talking.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. No, I can see it for sure. Patronus. Oh, this one I've got to go different. Does
a Venus flytrap count?
No, wait.
It's an animated plant. It's a carnivorous plant.
I'm gonna cheat. I'm gonna go Bowtruckle, the little insect plant from Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them.
Okay.
His little stick on his shoulder.
Yeah. Well, and I was going like animated plant, like a plant animal mix, Venus flytrap. Audrey too. From Little Shop.
Or I think he would be some sort of bird because birds and insects are what pollinate flowers and help spread nuts and seeds in order to help agriculture. So it would be some sort of birdly.
And I think knowing what we know, I would say hummingbird then, because hummingbirds spread pollen. And they also, they have a known thing of being if they come and hover in front of you, it's supposed to be like somebody who has gone before, like one of your ancestors or a loved one who has died is come back to visit you. And he is haunted by his past. But so I think that I think he would be a hummingbird, because hummingbirds also they're not a specific flower oriented. He would flit from, and they live in small bushes and trees, and he's so running away from his emotions that he flits here and there and to and fro.
I'm just looking, and hummingbirds are the best pollen. Good choice. Very cute. Much happy. And I'm pretty sure that Eloise makes his heart flutter sometimes in anger, and
I think Eloise is so much herself, like a frenetic type of energy, that she probably would love a hummingbird. Like seeing one. So yeah, hummingbird would be his Patronus.
I love that. A Bogart.
His kids drowning.
That one's kind of a hard to summon.
It would be like his kids in that magic
I actually think I think that even before that, I think it would be his dad holding the was it kettle whip that he.
Yeah, I mean that's a childhood fear, and I get it. Neville's is a childhood fear and whatever, but I think that ultimately
carried all the way into his adulthood, and he literally has scars on his back from that.
True, but how angry he got when they weren't even necessarily in that far in the water. And they were laying by the water, but he knew they had been swimming. Just knowing they had been swimming, he was furious. I think watching it, not even Marina.
But he has so much fear of becoming his dad, where his kids are involved.
Yeah,
that. Maybe
it's him actually
looking
using that
whip on his children.
Using that whip on his children. himself using
Yeah.
that whip on his children. Yeah, that's
And to finish off, I don't even know if we need to do this one. Favorite class. Surprise!
herbology.
Herbology. Yes.
He
All
starts
right.
the class and then Sprout's like, the job is yours. I retire.
So we are going to wrap up here for today. In next week's episode, we are going to cover Kate and Anthony, Sophie and Benedict, Francesca, Michael, and so John. It's going to be
Yeah,
a
we're gonna
triple.
do both of them.
Yeah, and then Lucy. No, no, Lucy and Gregory. Yeah.
Nope, Lucy and Gregory. Yeah.
I was like, Hermione? No. For those who don't know Gregory's story, he believes he first falls in love with a character, Hermione. It was love at first sight, or love at first neck. Like he just
Well,
saw
and
her from
his
behind
his
and fell in
his
love.
Harry Potter spouse would just have to be not Hermione.
Not Hermione.
Any girl but Hermione.
Luna. Because you know that in a lot of stands really wanted Ron and Luna together, but I wanted Neville and Luna.
I always thought Neville and
thought
Luna.
their weird matched each other's weird.
Yeah, and I think that she would have been super empathetic about what happened to his parents. Yeah. I just saw them,
and he would never judge her for having like weird out there like beliefs about different animals. He'd be like, "Go you, babe! Like hunt them down, find them, like prove yourself."
He'd be like, "Oh, so you're looking at a Thestral right now? How cute!"
Yeah,
like,
he would just support openly.
He would just believe. Yeah, he would just believe her. Yeah,
yeah. I was always a bit bummed, but I think J.K. Rowling probably thought it was like wrapping it up and need a bow for them to kind of end up. Okay, for today, gentle listeners, we will leave it there and continue on next week's episode. If you have anything in particular you would like us to cover, so please, at the moment we will take suggestions of whatever episodes. At the moment my house is just total chaos getting ready to sell it, so research light episodes would be highly appreciated. Or any Bridgerton knowledge you would like to share, please head to our Facebook page, The Ladies Bridgerton. And if you're enjoying our podcast, please remember to click follow on Spotify, Apple, or wherever you are listening. We are now over on YouTube, so please head over there for exclusive content. We are additionally on Patreon. And subscribe. We are additionally on Patreon. If you're wanting access to our notes, it is a $2 a month, US dollars.
Once again, thank you for listening to the musings of two mad women.
Yours truly, Tash the Kiwi.
And Lady Patty.